Some students were already behind the learning curve when the COVID-19 pandemic hit in early 2020. Studies show that the learning gap for those students probably has increased significantly. Dr. John Ricketts discussed how he's using a USDA National Institute of Food and Agriculture grant to try and help students who want to study agriculture address those challenges in a presentation to the Memphis, Tennessee Agricultural Club.
There's a group, because all this stuff hit early 2020, and so there was a group that did a study in the summer of 2020 with some projections, and I'm going to show you that in just a minute. But their projections were all about the early signs they were seeing in terms of learning losses. There's a crazy achievement gap. I'm sure you've heard about it. I even hate talking about it because I have some of the best students in the world, and they are Black students, but across the board, generally speaking, a lot of Black and Hispanic students there's a lot of studies that say 2 years behind in terms of the amount of education. And so we don't need that to widen anymore. We just can't have it. And then if we have poor instruction, including poor online and alternative delivery or no instruction whatsoever, they can fall behind, they can drop out. And certainly they're not going to go to college, let alone studying agriculture, right? I mean, we had the problems before the pandemic of food insecurity and a lack of diversity in the workforce. Well, that's not helped by this at all. And there are some good online pieces out there, but there was not good online resources in agriculture, okay? We could find some in general education. We could find a few in biology and chemistry, but there was not much there, especially at the level we were seeking to help in terms of agriculture. So here's some of that learning loss data. Dorn et al. Conducted this with you've heard all about data science now. They looked at big data to draw these pieces, but they basically found that school closures and whatever these alternative forms of delivery were going to be, we're just going to widen the achievement gap between white students and Black students and Hispanic students. And there's another category here called low income, which kind of is all of us put together. So that's another piece. Says, and what they found was students who experience average quality remote learning. Average quality remote learning. We've all spent a lot of time in the Zoom world, and you've had, at best, average experiences. Very few high quality online experiences, but students who had average quality remote learning will progress, but at a slower pace than a traditional pace, like if I'm going to school every day. Students who receive lower quality remote learning will be stagnated at their grade level. They're not. It's hard for them to ever move ahead, is what their data determined. Students not receiving any instruction at all will fall backwards or drop out. And not many schools just said, we're not going to teach you at all, but a lot of students decided they're not going to engage at all, right? And so if a student was not interacting in any way whatsoever, that was a real problem. And then learning loss from low quality remote instruction was most significant for those groups that I just shared with you. So stick with me for 1 second, because this is really, I think, why we got funded. We took this Dorn study, and they showed lots of data and lots of scenarios, but scenario 2 is the data you're looking at now. If you look at the bottom of this slide, scenario 2 assumed a virus resurgence such that, remember, they were writing this last summer, such that school closures and part-time schedules would continue intermittently through the 2020-2021 school year, and instruction does not fully resume before January 2021. Is that exactly about what happened in a lot of cases? Now, Memphis, I know they didn't go back for longer than that, But that's kind of what happened here where we are, right? And that was scenario 2. They were projecting, and there's a scenario 3 where, people like Davidson County would have been in. So it'd been worse than this situation. But for scenario 2, these numbers that you're looking at represent months of learning loss as compared to a traditional school setting. So in scenario 2, where we're on all these funky models or we're all online until at least January, 4 months ago now, all right, overall our learning loss has been about 6.8 months worth. White students came in under the overall, and then you see the 10 months, 9 months, 12 months figures for the other category.